Yeah.
Welcome back, folks. Tom and Gino. Tom from Lovell, Maine. Rather ambitious young man with a lot going for him. Gino Funicello, the dubba from Jackson, just here taking up space.
Why am I all of a sudden an ambitious young man?
Because you're ambitious. You're trying to become a liberal. We're going to work on it, and we're going to get you there. It's January the 10th.
Oh, I'm not young either, and I'm not feeling young. So, today we're going to talk about, I hope we talk about would be the dodgy dossier. It's still in the news. It's going to be in the news more and more and more. And he groans because it's not good news for his side.
I'm ready for you, Mama.
There's
Believe
that.
me. I'm ready
and
for
then,
you.
We're going to talk about Dreamers. We're going to talk about the Fire and Fury book by Michael Wolff. I mean, we can't avoid talking about that. And we'll be talking about Oprah for president, perhaps. That's a big thing in the news just over the last few days. Plus, I have several other issues, including, big government, small government kind of stuff.
I like every one of those
and a few little things. So those are coming up, I hope, unless we get off on a tangent, which we sometimes do. All right, go ahead.
All right, anyway. I'm going to start. I have got no plans other than to battle. That's it. That's where I am. Look. This year has been very easy for me because all I have to do is see what Trump's doing and agree with the rest of the world that he is nuts. Hold on a second. Here we go.
That's going to be easy.
Question 1. From top management, by the way, if I may be so bold. This is your favorite guy. On New Year's Day, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un gave a speech saying, "The whole territory of the U.S. is within the range of our nuclear strike. And the nuclear button is always on the desk of my office, and this is just a reality, not a threat." President Trump later replied in a tweet saying, "North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from this depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I, too, have a nuclear button, but it's a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works." Is this just a case of two leaders ruffling their feathers, or is it potentially a series of dangerous provocations? That's a long question.
That's a long question. And now Trump, because twice as many characters are allowed in tweets, we're getting longer tweets from the guy.
Just what we were looking for.
Yeah, just what we needed. Anyway, I think it was rather clever, and it's actually true. And why this one here was initiated by Kim Jong-un saying, I have this button, and then he clarified, I think yesterday, that all of our missiles are aimed at the United States, not at our brothers, meaning, I guess, South Korea and during the Olympics and that kind of thing. But needless provocation, I don't think Kim Jong-un does not operate in a rational universe. To starve his country in order to produce weapons, and also to, his father was nuts, his grandfather was nuts, and he's nuts. And it's, no, I don't worry about provoking him. And he's provoked by just being in his own skin, I think.
Wouldn't it be nice, though,
a little fat kid.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we could just have a president who on that day, on January 1st, when Kim Jong, son of Un, makes a stupid statement like that, that having a president with some forethought who would say to one of his people, would say, "Well, what do you think I should say?" And they might say, "Why not just wish him a Happy New Year?" Don't get into the dirt. Don't get into the trenches. Don't try to act as stupid as he is. Because what happens, you're giving him fodder by even answering it and saying, "Oh, we might be afraid." As far as having a button on his desk, he didn't have a button on his desk. They probably wouldn't get those go and stop. He probably thinks he has a button on his desk. Trump doesn't have a button on his desk. He's got a guy with a football sitting outside of his office, theoretically, 24/7, who has the codes that can unleash nuclear war. And to top it all off, they're kidding about nuclear war. Hello, Donald. Have you ever watched films of what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have you ever seen those people afterwards with their skin peeling for 20 years and all the medical facilities that were trying to treat them? Does he know? Does he realize if he unloads on them, he's going to kill 1 million people in the
Here's
first
what I
minute?
know about this.
I mean, it's insanity. What?
His grandfather had started looking for nuclear weapons back during the George H.W. Bush administration. We said, oh, well, we're going to have to,
His father.
you know, we'll walk softly and we will, you know, to use diplomatic measures, we'll negotiate, so forth. And that didn't work out. Then Bill Clinton basically adopted the same philosophy, and that didn't work out. George W. Bush adopted that philosophy, that didn't work out. And then Obama, same thing. So now, clearly we know it doesn't work because the guy's got nuclear weapons and he's got the ICBMs to deliver them. So are they accurate? Are they going to work all the time? We don't know. We don't want to find out, do we? You know, all the hard way. Clearly the guy is a threat. The guy, this is an existential threat to the United States. Has to be dealt with. It hasn't. None of that diplomacy stuff has worked. I'll say try something else. I mean, just I don't. It's not a good situation. Iran is right close following, and I think Ronald Reagan was right. Well, George W. Bush was right when he called it the triumvirate of evil or something like that.
Axis of evil.
The axis of evil, and they are malevolent.
Who's
forces,
got? You know what? But they
least.
don't analyze it. I don't think they've analyzed it. He hasn't. Trump. And I use Trump because Trump is the most powerful person in the world. Trump has not analyzed the situation because, A, you've got all the Chinese sitting nearby. You've got the Russians sitting nearby. You've got South Korea sitting in the back seat with 25 million people in Seoul. Any threats he makes to North Korea are idle threats. Why don't we do something like this?
Any threats Trump makes?
They're idle threats because
in what sense?
he can't unload nuclear weapons on North Korea. No matter what happens, he's going to kill millions of people in that process. And they're going to be South Koreans, they're going to be Chinese, depending on which way the wind's blowing.
Because of the artillery that's aimed at the Seoul.
And that too.
Yeah.
If you put 50 or 60 nuclear missiles into North Korea, sure you're going to kill North Korea. That whole area would be decimated. So it really is an idle threat. What he has to do is think about how we can get through this situation. First thing might be test our freaking weapons or supposedly knock down missiles. That would be nice after it was probably spent $100 billion on them. But no one says, look, little guy in North Korea, the next time you test a nuclear missile that looks like it's heading somewhere over a territory that we vow to protect under our agreements, we're going to shoot it down. We're going to shoot it down. Okay, fire away. Now what if our missiles don't work? Now we got a real big problem. Now we're the laughing stock. That's why we got to do that.
So you think we are not shooting down his missiles when he tests them?
Right.
We know that he's getting ready to
Right.
test them. We know approximately where they are.
Yeah.
And because we're afraid that if we launch and miss,
It
then
goes
that's
right
going to
beyond
look worse
stock.
for us
Raytheon stock goes
propaganda-wise.
down the drain.
Well,
I mean, what happens then? I mean, so if you build these weapons to protect the United States and its allies, you better at some point use a couple. I mean, we did it in the desert with the Scuds.
yeah.
Oh, those are easy to shoot down because they're slow. They don't go out of the atmosphere, blah, 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 blah. You know when they're coming, you pick them up on radar. Yeah, and we still missed probably 40, 50% of them.
This technology, my brother-in-law happens to work for Raytheon. And he's on this particular, on anti-missile technology. And he's constantly traveling to Korea, to Japan, and to Saudi Arabia, to Israel. And it's because they are our customers for this technology. And the Israelis, they take that technology and then they improve it.
Oh,
as
of course
they've
they
done, you know, and so much of our other military technology. And then we can share in their, you know, developments. And so recently, Saudi Arabia has shot down missiles that have come from Yemen, Iranian allies in Yemen. The Israelis have shot down missiles that come from Gaza, and I don't think Hezbollah yet.
These
So
are different,
they are working, and the Japanese are beefing up their technology too because they're under threat. There are lots of things that Trump could do, and I think his Trump's trump card in this negotiations with China. China is not inclined to. I mean, North Korea is a major pain in the butt for the United States. China is not going to. That's a great card for them to play, and they're not going to take that card off the table. They want to keep North Korea being a pain. It's not in their interest. They'll say they will,
I know.
But they're not
They're
really
still
going to
shipping them
do
oil.
it. Neither are the Russians going to do it, because the Russians and the Chinese like having them there. So the way to get China off the dime on this would be to say, I think that we've been guaranteeing security for the South Koreans and for the Japanese and for the Taiwanese, and all of them highly sophisticated countries,
yeah.
technologically speaking. Will say, why don't you guys develop your own militaries, your own nuclear weapons?
You don't want that, though.
China would have diarrhea over that,
Yeah.
and that would get them off the dime. And I think Trump's advisors are telling him that. I think he should play those cards.
I think the man. See, you give Trump too much credit, because when he talked about Saudi Arabia should develop their own nuclear weapons. He talked about Japan.
Yeah,
having
he
their
has
own.
mentioned that.
This goes back 75 years of American diplomacy around the world with our treaties and stuff. I think he's just discovered. I don't even think he knows of what we've done for the last 75 years. I don't think he does. I think he was so busy with his world of grabbing women when they walk by, and TV shows and his hotels. I don't think he ever even understood, and I still don't think he does. There was someone wrote a thing about Trump the other day that they were trying to give him a lesson on the Constitution. And when he got to the Fourth Amendment, he basically said that was enough. He wasn't interested. This is the guy now who was a Republican, is a Republican, and works in that kind of training field or something. He said Trump just wasn't interested. When they got to the Fourth Amendment, that's enough. I don't want any more of this stuff. The guy is scary in that sense. And I don't think, diplomatically, I would rather let Tillerson alone, let him do the job, let him be the diplomat. But for God's sakes, Donald, shut up. Because he's going to get us in a shooting war that no one really wants, except I think he thinks in this like Star Wars kind of, whatever it is. He's a product of television or something. They say
I don't
What is it?
worry about what you worry about. You
No.
and all everybody on the left, they beat
I
the
think it's a
same
lot of
drum.
people,
They
not
say
just on
Trump
the
is
left.
dangerous. He's got the codes, and he's going to get us into a nuclear war. We hear that. Then we hear, Trump is dumb. He's just not. Hasn't got the brain matter. He's just not. And then we hear Trump is mentally ill, and we need to implement the 25th Amendment and declare him unfit and get him out. And you got psychiatrists saying that from Yale University, and then you got this book that comes out that says, so that maybe it's time to launch into that. So that tries to make this case. I mean, I read the excerpts. I'm not inclined to buy the book and read it. I'm not. I mean, I've read all the juicy parts that have come out.
I've read it all.
And I've read it. I mean, I've read those
Doesn't give you
excerpts.
pause. Doesn't give you
No,
pause.
it doesn't.
No, okay.
This guy, he's inconsistent. It seems like the only quotes he's gotten right so far would be those from Steve Bannon, who has not denied anything and he's quoted extensively.
Oh, I know.
And some of the stuff is, is eyebrow raising, to say the least. And but the rest of them, he seems to have been factually wrong on some stuff. I mean.
Well, if you want to get on to some of our other topics, we better move along, because this is getting really, I think we're basically...
We just did. I just moved on to the
Was that one
fire
of
and
our
fury
topics?
thing.
Was that one of our topics? Oh, you want to go into that?
Well, how can we avoid it? I mean, it's big news. It's dominated the news for a week.
Well, I've got good news, bad news to start. Can I start with that?
All right, go for it.
Well, because it kind of leads into that. My good news is it appears that the people that are interviewed for this book, 100% of the Trump people that were interviewed thinks he's pretty dumb, pretty stupid, very childish, and basically a goofball. The bad news is that the Republican leadership in Washington appears not to care about any of these things that were said, and have no indication that they want to do anything about it, even though some of them has said that in the past themselves. but all of a sudden, Graham and Corker and a lot of these people.
Is this good news, bad news?
This is the bad news. The
bad
good
news
news.
is-
The good news is that everybody that works for him thinks he's crazy. The bad news is the people that represent us in the House and Senate think it's nothing. Well, so life goes on. That's the bad news.
The bad news. Okay, so you take. I won't interrupt. Now you
No,
get,
no, that's okay. I
your
don't.
good news. Go ahead.
I'm not. That's the good news and bad news. And what's the other thing? What else? I don't know. That's about it.
Okay, you want my good news?
That's it.
My
What's
good
your
news is that the cold snap is over.
Gee.
That is for now. I mean, I remember we
Oh.
had last January was a warm. I mean,
It was warm.
very warm.
Yeah.
But then March was colder than January. So we know what March now can do. It went below zero for several days in March of last year. But this last snap, it reminds me of how it used to be. They say, "Oh, this is the longest stretch," and da da da. I
It's
don't.
quite long.
I can remember, some of those snowless winters we had, where we had 2 weeks of below zero, 20 below.
At
and-
night, and then warm up a little in daytime.
It's
Yeah.
not much.
Yeah.
And it was this was about like that. We hadn't really
Yeah,
had
it was,
them
it
for
was
a
a
while.
memory.
So the good news is that it's over, and also that I was out. It's 14 degrees out there this morning when I went.
Felt
I
warm.
would have called that cold, and it felt warm.
Yeah.
Now we have toughened up.
Yeah.
We have been acclimated now to Maine and New Hampshire
Yeah.
winters, and now we can handle most anything.
I would say,
regard to winter
that's
weather.
probably good. That's not a
So
bad
that's the
idea.
good news.
Yeah,
is
what's
that
the
we
bad
are
news?
toughened up, and that's how we are here in New England.
And the bad news
we're
is?
tough by this.
Hanging on by a thread, waiting.
Well, the bad news is this fire the other day in Freiburg. It was I drove by it a couple of times now, and it's that means people lost everything.
How many were there? I didn't read about
There
it.
were, let's see, the mother and father, and there were a couple of teenagers.
No one
living
got
there
hurt.
as well. No one got hurt, and that's good news, of course. But the bad news is there's just nothing left of the place. I mean, and plus they had to fight the fire in
Was it an
sub-zero weather.
apartment
It was
or-
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Last Sunday morning. No, it was a house
Did they have insurance?
right across from Freiburg Fairgrounds. I don't
Really?
know. I don't know if they had
Wow.
insurance, but yeah, it's a mess. I mean, they lost their vehicles too. There was an RV
Wow.
next to it, and then there was a pickup truck, and anyway.
Boy,
it's-
oh boy.
Yeah, so that's bad news, and it's just a mess, and I can smell it driving by, even my windows up, and it's just they had to tear the thing apart with an excavator in order to get the
Oh,
thing
wow.
completely out, and it's just it goes to show what can happen. I mean,
Yeah.
but that was the bad news. All right, so you based on what you were saying with your good news regarding
the
this
good news
Michael
is-
Wolff.
Yeah.
His book called Fire and Fury, which
Yep.
is
Bestseller.
dominated
Right
the
out of the
news.
gate. Bestseller.
Yeah, I certainly it was interesting to hear about it, and I was interested in it from Bannon's standpoint because he was quoted and didn't deny the quotes, as I mentioned, but the other stuff doesn't seem to be based on facts. That is, they're quite disputed, as a matter of fact. So, and he says, I don't know, some of the stuff may not be true. The writer himself, he said that. And so, I mean,
Well,
the guy, also, one more thing. He's one quote jumped off the page at me when I was reading, because he wrote 2 other articles before the book actually was distributed. He wrote 2 articles, both of which I read last Wednesday and Thursday. And he said, Trump supporters out there are scary people, are scary enough. And I said, so that's, and then he got the permission to sit on this couch in the West Wing,
Yeah.
17 days or however many
Yeah, it was quite a
he
few days.
did, based on some puff piece that he wrote during the
During the
primaries. He
primary,
wrote
right.
something that said, it was nice that Trump said, oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Let that guy sit there or something. Give him
Yeah.
a little bit of access. But he was really a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean,
Did you
because
see the guy?
He said, I did.
Would you let him into your house?
He was not impressive to
No.
me at all. And
Yeah.
he's, so I don't, I mean, he's not a Woodward.
No.
He's Hollywood reporter is what he writes
Yeah.
for. I mean, he's a lightweight.
Doesn't
I'm
that
not-
show you,
But
though-
yet he's given stuff that the left wants to hear. The mainstream media
Anybody,
wants
wait,
to hear.
wait. That's
he's
where I
calling
disagree
Trump
with you.
crazy. Let's play this
That's
guy
where I
out.
disagree with you. Here's a guy who spent 17 days in the White House, maybe more, with, I guess, a hidden tape recorder, sitting down with all these people, listening to what's going on in the room. He writes all this thing, and you say only the left wants to hear it. You know
No, I
something?
didn't say that.
You just said that just
I
now.
said
only the left.
Not only. I said the left wants to hear it.
Yeah, but
the mainstream
the world,
media
the
loves to
whole
hear
of
it, which is the
America,
left.
America should want to hear it. It's got nothing
Well,
to
they're
do
hearing
with
it. I mean, you can't not hear it.
It's got nothing to do with left, right. We're talking about a president here whose people that work with him every day felt strongly enough about this situation to say, hey, this is like running daycare. You know, this is a daycare. Even, what's his face, the senator there, the little guy, what was his name? I can't remember his name. He said about it, he said it was like a daycare center in there, in the White House, when Trump was first in office. Corker. Little Bob Corker. Remember little Bobby Corker?
Yeah,
Who
soon to
loved
be-
Donald Trump.
Soon to be former senator.
Yeah, said it's like a daycare center in there. Now, all this guy does is he goes in and he sits there and hears these people talk. And look at Bannon. Bannon is no schmuck, okay? I don't like him. I don't like his philosophy. I don't like his Leninist leanings. But the guy is not a schmuck. He said that what they were doing, what did he call it? He called it treason. That's treasonous.
I'll
Yeah,
I'll
the people that
specify.
were having the meeting
the
in
meeting
New York,
where
right.
Donald Trump Jr. was
Right.
there, Paul Manafort was there, Justin, Jared,
Whatever.
what's his name was there.
Yeah, the
and
son-in-law.
and a couple of other
But he
people.
called
But
it
those
treason.
three
Now-
big officials in the Trump
Right.
campaign were there. Yeah.
Here's a guy who comes to Washington. Now, you know Bannon's original thing was get rid of it all,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right.
It was.
Get rid of it all. Now he comes to Washington and he sees what he thinks are treasonous acts. Now, I would
That it happened before he got to
Right,
the campaign.
right.
So he's reflecting back on what he's
he
hearing.
was in the
about.
campaign when that happened.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't in
No.
June?
No,
When did he come in?
he came in August.
August of that year?
Yeah.
So he's
When
looking at,
Manafort
okay.
was fired, then in came Bannon.
So why would he say that was a treasonous act? He's looking at it now. He's
Well-
very negative about government. Why would he do that if he thinks, hey, these guys are working?
That surprised me.
Yeah.
It really did surprise me.
That's an amazing-
And because he has not denied it,
No.
then he's letting it stand. He must have said it.
Right.
So,
And that the daughter,
Which
that
brings
the
us
daughter is
to-
dumb as a box of rocks or something.
we have winners and losers, and because
Oh.
I chose Sloppy Steve as Trump is calling
You
him
want to do
now.
winners and losers now? Should we jump
Bannon,
in?
I liked, Bannon essentially wrote the inaugural address that Trump delivered in January, which I liked very much.
You would have, yeah.
And he and Steve Miller, I liked their
I'm sure you do.
philosophy. I mean, I read up on what, when Bannon became the advisor, I read up on him and I looked at some, and I liked what I read. I liked
Mm-hmm.
what I saw. The guy made money because he owned a piece of Seinfeld. And so
that
he
how-
gets royalties.
is that how Bannon made his
That's
money?
his biggest source of income.
Really?
Made him a millionaire. But he's done a few other items. He worked for that big law firm investment
Wall
firm.
Street. You're part of the swamp.
Goldman
Goldman
Sachs.
Sachs.
He
Goldman
worked
Sachs,
for.
sure.
So I mean, he's a former naval officer. I think he went to Annapolis. He's not a dummy.
No.
But he is sloppy as heck. I mean,
Oh, he looks like-
he doesn't look like he takes showers regularly. He
Yeah, he
doesn't,
looks like a
doesn't
foul
get his
thing.
clothes cleaned regularly. He
Ugh,
does- I don't know.
disgusting.
But when he speaks, I used to think, okay, I kind of like he's certainly a conservative.
Yeah.
And he's a Catholic. He was raised that way. He believes
Nothing
it.
like it.
So I liked those things, but he's not been rational. He has not been and so he's a loser because of what he did. I mean, what Wolf quoted
He was
him
pushing
from
the
saying.
pedophile in Alabama.
I called him loser before for that reason. I mean, he was a loser, but now he didn't have much left to lose. But whatever he had left is gone now because he's just like.
Well, what happened? The woman and her husband, who were devoting millions and millions of dollars to him,
Merces.
to win the campaign in
It was a
Alabama.
man and his
yeah,
daughter.
Merces, right? Oh, it's the man and his daughter.
Yeah, Robert and
I
Rebecca
saw her
Mercer.
on TV, and the only thing was missing in that scene was a broomstick. But anyway,
Yeah,
she's scary.
Her father abandoned them, and then she said, "Okay, I'll take over the stock in Breitbart.com." Breitbart.com fired him just yesterday,
sure.
I think it was.
Sure. Unload him.
Yeah.
He's causing grief.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you're right about him being, loser. We didn't have winners yet, but loser. You're right about him being a loser. But the thing of it is, he comes out and says all these things to this guy. He knows the guy is a reporter, a writer. He knows the guy's writing a book. He knows all these things. Now you think
Bad
about
judgment.
it,
Yeah.
and he supposedly swore by Donald Trump before that.
Bannon did.
Yeah, greatest man since sliced bread. I mean, all that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, it's not peak. It wasn't peak. It was something else. But what was it? Does he want Trump to be humiliated? Because the book is a humiliation. I mean, and when you get to that other topic about the MI6 guy, I don't understand why he did it. Now, he was talking, he's saying that Trump's lost his mind. Trump's a child. Trump's this. Trump, all these negative things.
Actually, it was Trump
Trump
who said that about
he's
Bannon.
lost his mind.
Yeah.
Maybe they all swim in this big pond that's like just populated by crazy people. But they're not, you know what the problem is? A, they're not politicians. Trump's not a politician. Bannon's not a politician.
Right.
They're muckrakers of a sort. All of a sudden, Trump comes out and now he wants to do some deal with the Democrats about the wall and all this stuff. You can't pin him down day to day. But what Bannon...
Well, that sounds like it makes him a politician. If you can't pin him down, that's how politicians...
went really, I mean, talking about off the rails.
It does. It does look that way, especially because he said there's a more likelihood that Trump will not finish his first term.
Yeah.
And he said that the 25th Amendment might get implemented.
Well, that's impossible. Have you read that?
Yes.
That can't happen in any event.
Well, you were just saying that you think he's mentally unfit.
Yes,
So
but
that would be
isn't-
the 25th Amendment.
Okay, but it has to happen. The
Well,
entire...
let me finish. Let me
go
finish
ahead.
my point.
All right.
So Bannon's saying that he's probably not going to finish the 4 years, and if he does, it'll only be 4 years. He won't run for a second term. But he said he called it a two-thirds likely prediction that he wouldn't finish the 4 years. 25th Amendment might go out, or impeachment after the 2018 elections if they lose the House. So that really surprised me. Now here's a
25th
guy with
yeah.
he certainly knew Trump. He was
Yeah.
the campaign manager after the primaries, from August on. He was a chief advisor, whatever his title was there. He was, high-ranking
he was a
official.
high-muck.
Saw the president every day, and so forth. To turn around like that, maybe Trump was right that he did lose his mind.
Either
I mean,
that-
because he has no more power base.
The
He's
25th
just
Amendment-
alienated everybody.
25th Amendment is nothing. It's doo-doo because you have to have, first off, the vice president has to agree. Vice president has to broach it, I think. Secondly, his whole
I don't
cabinet...
think it's likely.
His whole
I agree with
cabinet
you.
has to decide that they agree. Well, you saw it. You know what his cabinet is. Come on, this is like Looney Tune land. You
What?
got Perry, this lunatic from Texas who didn't even know he's now heading the group that he sought to close.
You used to agree that the cabinet was a good cabinet.
Not this
now
cabinet.
you've changed your mind?
The only ones that even recommended are the 2 or 3 top military guys. The rest of them, look, the lady whose brother owned Blackwater, she's running the school. She was in favor of destroying the public school system. Come on, every one of those people is in his pocket. You saw the tape of him saying,
So,
"I'm the
okay,
great."
25th Amendment. You
So
said
that-
you don't think it's
okay.
likely to happen.
So they won't do it. It takes a 2/3 vote of the House and a 2/3 vote of the Senate. Come on,
Okay.
throw it
politically
out the
impossible.
window. Burn
Yeah.
it. It's a ridiculous
But
rule.
so does impeachment requires a 2/3 vote in the Senate
Of the
to find
House.
him guilty. To find
Oh,
him guilty.
yeah, right.
I don't
That
think
could
it take.
happen.
I think it's just a majority
Majority
vote
in the House.
to bring charges, which is what impeachment means. And then he can't be removed from office with just impeachment. He would have to then be found guilty by the Senate by 67 votes.
Yeah.
So
And that can
that's
happen.
not likely.
That can happen very easily.
It's never
very
happened
easily.
before. We've had 2 impeachment cases, and they both have failed in the Senate.
Look, Johnson's impeachment back in the day.
By 1 vote.
Back in the day was a fight, a political fight. The impeachment of Bill Clinton.
They're all political fights.
Bill
Impeachment
Clinton,
is by
Bill
nature
Clinton
a
was
political
being chased
issue.
down because of the parking lot woman there. And then when they get into it after 7 years of investigation, oh, he had an affair with this girl delivering pizza. Oh, did you do it? No, you're out of here. We're impeaching you because you lied. How do you like 1,250 recorded lies since Trump became president January 20th to 21st last year? How do you like that? They're keeping a tab on his lies.
Who is?
The newspapers, the books, magazines, human beings. I mean, he lies every day. He lies about everything.
You really are.
What?
You do.
You think
You suffer from Trump derangement syndrome.
1,254
that colors
recorded-
everything you're looking at with this guy. And I'm no fan of Donald Trump, and I will.
Why were you so mad about
acknowledge-
Clinton having sex with a girl and lying about it, and you're not upset of at least, but let's say only 600 of them are lies? He lies about everything.
I'm gonna switch
He
to
didn't
something.
know. He didn't know that Flynn
Christopher Steele,
lied to the
who is
FBI?
the author of the dodgy dossier, has been referred by 2 House committees for criminal investigation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, who would have to investigate would be the FBI, which is, to my mind, they are questionable. They are
everybody's-
become dodgy
everybody's
until you
questionable, yeah.
eliminate the leadership of the FBI
tear
as
'em all.
presently constituted. I don't trust
I
that
say
they're going to.
You don't trust anybody.
So, Chino, you're not letting me finish
Oh,
here.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Christopher Steele, there's only been 1 point that in this dodgy dossier out of 35 pages that has been verified. And that point is that Carter Page did go to Russia. And he did talk to some Russian officials. It's wrong when it says the Russian officials that he talked to. He did not talk to the ones that really mattered. He did talk to some officials in the Russian government, and he didn't talk about the things Steele said he did. None of the rest of it, including the peepees coming from the hookers that Donald Trump allegedly hired, and that was what the lead thing was. None of it has panned out. It has.
okay.
It is hearsay, third-hand hearsay, and the FBI seems to have been suckered into giving it credibility.
Oh, really?
And they have pushed it along. The Obama administration and the Hillary Clinton campaign pushed it along. The DNC paid for it. The Clinton campaign paid for it, and then the FBI under Comey offered to pay for it. They at least did that. They may actually have given some money to Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele was snookered everybody, and it looks like, as I said in the last show, that the Russians saw, oh my goodness, the FBI seems to really believe this guy, Christopher Steele. We're going to start feeding Christopher Steele some baloney stuff and then have it believed by all these officials, the Obama administration, the Hillary campaign, and the FBI, and made fools out of them. And that is what they're trying to cover up right now, is that they have been played for fools by the Russians.
Okay. Everything's a cover-up. Here's the thing, the facts of the matter. This Fusion group in New England somewhere
Fusion GPS.
were hired by a Republican-leaning outfit.
Yes, they were.
They come up with this guy, Steele. He's in Europe. He begins collecting.
Glenn Simpson
Anyway,
was the head of
Okay.
Fusion
All right.
GPS.
so this is hard to remember, so let me just formulate it. They get this guy Steele. He begins looking for stuff. It was basically looking for stuff on Clinton, on Clinton for Trump. Trump didn't even know about this at the time. They were hired by this, right? After a while, they give up on it. They didn't come up.
They were first hired by the
They didn't come up with any good news about Clinton. So what happened? Clinton hires the same outfit, GPS, and Steele works for them to find crap on Trump. Very basic. He's looking for this stuff, and all of a sudden, he's getting this information. It was all over Eastern Europe. They had information on this stuff that was going on with Russia. He finds information that leads him to believe that Trump...
Who finds information?
Steele. He finds information that he feels means that they're going to blackmail, somebody is trying to blackmail Trump. He gets a hold of the FBI and gives them his information. Now, follow it a little along now. In the meantime, the FBI tells him, we're aware of most of that stuff. They disappear from view. Steele sits back. The FBI doesn't do anything with it, he thinks. But they are working on it because they had opened an investigation at that point. Don't remember the exact dates. At that point, of Trump. Now let me finish
It
because
was
it's long.
August.
Okay, of Trump.
Well, actually, it was June.
So they've got the dossier that this guy created through dealing with people in Europe. They've got this. They're looking at it, okay? Now, at this point in time, our fellow patriots in Congress, the Senate, Graham Cracker, the guy from Iowa, they decide, hey, this guy Steele, we should send a recommendation up to the Justice Department and have this man put on trial. Because they're reading the information that Steele gave them that now comes out of the FBI.
Okay.
They had, no, wait a minute. They get the owners of GPS in and they interrogate them for 21 hours. Now what happens? Graham Cracker and the guy from Iowa, the senator, decide, they start feeding little bits of this testimony out to the world, the right world. The right world says, look what they did, look what they did. Look, they start picking up the same stuff you're picking up. But in the meantime, the owners of the company who were interrogated for 21 hours,
Glenn Simpson,
come out and
former
said,
Wall
hey,
Street Journal reporter.
this is doo-doo. This is not the truth. I want our testimony released to the public. Our Iowa little corn cracker senator and our little Graham, suddenly a Trump lover, decide, no way, we're not releasing this. Thank God Barbara Feinstein from California, the senator from California, released that testimony 2 days ago that throws a monkey wrench into everything they've been saying about Steele and about Fusion GPS.
was hired by by the right-leaning group you mentioned.
Exactly.
It's called the Washington Free Beacon.
Yeah.
And it's run by a guy named Martin
I don't even know
Continetti,
names, yeah.
who is the son of Bill Kristol, who runs
doesn't
the
like
Weekly
Trump
Standard. No, none of them do. They're
I
never
know.
Trumpers. So they hired Fusion GPS to do opposition research on Donald Trump, not
Right.
Hillary Clinton.
Somehow they got
Donald
involved with Clinton,
Trump.
but I don't know. Go ahead.
Donald Trump. Okay, so then Trump won the nomination. No point in having Republican never Trumpers do any more opposition research on Trump. He's the nominee. They don't like it, but
I
but
heard
he's got
exactly
it.
the opposite, but
Then
that's okay.
Fusion GPS, they go over to Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC under Wasserman Schultz, and they say, "You've been doing this opposition research on Trump for these never Trumpers. Now he's your opponent. Okay, how about we continue with our research and you pay us?" And so Debbie Wasserman Schultz says, "Okay, sure, we'll do that." And Hillary Clinton says,
All that's
"Okay,
fine,
sure,
by the
we'll
way.
do
All
that."
that is fine and legal.
That's when they hired Christopher Steele.
But all that is fine and legal.
It's legal.
What they were doing, opposition means
That
legal.
is correct.
They weren't doing anything illegal. Go ahead.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Now Steele enters
right.
the fray.
So now Steele comes in and is working for Fusion GPS. Then Steele, who is he's a European.
Right.
Right? He comes in and he says, "Oh, I've been working with the FBI before. They trust me
Yeah.
on some other cases." And,
Exactly.
and evidently he did. So he had some Russia connections, and the FBI trusted him. Now, here's what's illegal. That the FBI now is coming in and helping Steele. And they're using Steele's stuff, which is erroneous. None of it has panned out.
Where did they use
it's
it,
been
by the way?
over a year.
Where did they use it? Where did they use it?
They
In
offered to
public.
pay him.
No, but where did they use it in public?
They used it. Well, I don't know about public. Here's what they. It looks. The evidence is overwhelming that the FBI and the Obama administration officials used the dodgy dossier to take it before a FISA court judge to authorize a wiretap on Trump Tower during the campaign.
All that
And
thing.
to then expose what the conversation was.
Oh my God! So you go to a
here
FISA
you
court
have
now-
the Obama administration using the FBI.
That's all conjecture. That is all conjecture.
Gino,
That is
this
not
is
a
what's
fact.
so important about this.
Oh,
The FBI in association with Christopher Steele.
Take a break for a second. So I want
Gino,
to just
do
reply
you
to this and make
realize
it, but I want to
that
reply to
this-
this and make it because you're leading people astray.
No, I'm not,
Because that
Gino.
isn't what happened.
Gino,
Let me just
you say there's no evidence for this. Gino, the evidence is overwhelming.
Here's why they would do that, though. You give them no reason for doing what they did if they began chasing people around under FISA. They were dealing with the Russians. The Trump campaign was dealing with the Russians, and they were being picked up on surveillances, and they decided to go to a FISA court and check these people out who were visiting your boy in Trump Tower. And what
Gino.
happened was they found them in flagrante delicto with the Russians.
Gino, you know, this.
My God.
There were, as we said earlier, there were at least three high-level campaign officials, Trump campaign officials, who met with a Russian lawyer
Yeah.
in Trump Tower
Well, there were only 5 or 6
In
people.
Trump
We
Tower.
don't know. Yeah.
in June of 2016. All right, so that's what Bannon was talking about. He said he accused Donald Jr. of treason. He said that was treasonous, what he did. You referred to it earlier. Yes, that happened.
Yeah.
That is the only evidence that there was any collusion between Russians and the Trump campaign. And it's not evidence of collusion. Here's what it's evidence of. It's evidence that those three guys were interested in hearing any dirt this Russian lawyer had
Hillary.
on Clinton.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. She didn't give him any.
Now, what did
They
you-
were interested in hearing it if she had it.
One more second. What did our friend Mr. Bannon say about Mr. Trump's knowledge of what was going on in that meeting?
Bannon said they probably took it up to
They
the
took him.
16th
they
floor
took
or
it
whatever
up.
floor.
They
that
would never do that without taking that up to Donnie.
he suspected
Right,
strongly
yeah.
that they had done so.
I have a lot of
Yes.
faith in what he said because he wouldn't say that unless he wanted to commit suicide.
That's true. He did say that.
Okay. I just
Okay.
just adding a little
He didn't
flavor
say
here.
he knows that they did. He said, I'd find it hard to believe it if they didn't. That's the
Exactly.
way he phrased
Knowing
it.
Mr. Trump the way he does.
Yes.
Because
Right.
you know that
Okay,
yourself.
is
You know-
that evidence of collusion?
No, I think there's so much collusion.
Here's
in this
something
thing.
that perhaps you don't know. I've said it before, but perhaps you don't know
Yeah,
it. That
I mean-
Russian attorney, whatever her name was,
gobbledygook or something.
you know who
like
she met with just before the meeting, hours before that meeting? She met with Glenn Simpson, head of Fusion GPS. Guess who she met with right after
have
the
no
meeting?
idea. I don't
On the
know where you
same
find
day.
that out.
Glenn Simpson of
Where do you see
Fusion
that?
GPS.
Do you see her booklets or her records of her meetings? Where do you see that? I mean, that's I don't
I
understand.
can't remember where I read that. I think it was from Andy McCarthy.
Yeah, but you know
who was
something
a
with
okay, Gino, this
thanks.
tells you that at the time they were going over from the Republican being paid by Republicans, anti-Trumpers, to being paid by the DNC.
well, you say they were anti-Trumpers, okay? Just because
Washington Free Beacon is anti-Trumpers.
from what
yes.
I understand is they were gathering information on Hillary Clinton. When they swung, they didn't find a hell of a
I
lot.
never heard that.
Here's
You
another
heard-
thing. All of the tapes that were picked up by Hillary Clinton off her emails, all right? How many of them actually were what you would call treasonous or, I mean,
you mean the Podesta's email sent
yeah,
from?
well, what was on there? I never heard anything bad to come out of all those emails.
Oh, sure there was.
What was it? What did she do? What was the big do?
It was. Let me think.
I don't think it was anything. I don't think that.
They were trashing Catholics for one thing.
Well, that's okay. That's all bull. I mean, I
It's okay
understand
to
that.
trash Catholics.
It's okay
I thought
to
you were
trash
Catholic.
blacks and Hispanics according to Trump. I mean, come on.
I'd have. I
Just
can't.
because
There's,
you
there
mean
was a lot
all of the
stuff.
investigations, there were 240.
The FBI was offering to pay for opposition research on the opposing party's candidate.
Now, wait a minute.
During the campaign.
Okay, now take
Gino,
a minute there.
That
Take a minute there.
is very scary stuff.
During the campaign, whose candidacy was embarrassed by the FBI? Donald Trump? When Comey came out at first
Yeah,
and dropped the bomb
Yeah.
on Hillary,
yeah.
and then 7 days before the election, 10 days before the election, he dropped the second
July
bomb.
6th, I think,
Yeah.
is when he first came out.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
shortly before, he talked about Carlos Danger's laptop that he
Okay.
found Huma
Now,
Abedin stuff
who's-
on there, right?
The information from the FBI, honestly, who did that hurt?
Who did it hurt?
It hurt Trump?
It didn't hurt Trump.
It made him president,
It
didn't
helped Hillary. It helped Hillary.
That
because-
information helped Hillary?
Yes, it did.
Oh, God.
Okay? It helped Hillary because the FBI swept the charges of mishandling confidential information off the table.
Oh,
That's what it
come
did.
on.
That's what Comey said in his first press conference. The evidence
He said
that
they did not
Hillary
have evidence
had
enough to
violated
even-
confidential information handling and should be put into jail is
He
not.
never
He
said that. Comey said that?
No, he didn't. He said she shouldn't be.
Exactly. He said there were no
now he's the cop.
Yeah.
Loretta Lynch is the prosecuting attorney as
Yeah.
Attorney General.
Right.
Comey usurps her role, and he says, "Here's the evidence we found," and he basically laid out the case that she violated these.
That there were mistakes that had
statutes,
happened.
okay?
There were mistakes,
But
yeah.
he said no reasonable prosecutor would bring
bring the
charges,
case.
and I don't recommend this. Okay, that absolved her. You're saying that it hurt her. I'm saying that it helped her because she was guilty of all those
And
things.
then when he come
she
out
had
2 weeks
violated
before
the statutes.
Then 2 weeks before the
And
election,
then we
they said-
find out that this FBI agent changed the wording, and that Comey, before he even interviewed Hillary Clinton and Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin, he gave them immunity before he even interviewed them, and he came to his conclusions that
So-
she shouldn't be indicted even before he
In
interviewed
effect, what
her.
you're saying
so
is-
he covered it up.
The
So that helped Hillary.
the entire leadership of the FBI.
You can
and-
spin it
and
as
the
having
FBI
hurt Hillary,
I'm
but
just
I'm
saying.
not buying it.
You don't think it hurt her? She was ahead 12 points in Pennsylvania 2 weeks before the election,
She
then lost
hurt
it.
herself.
Are you kidding?
She
You got-
hurt herself by
Tom.
doing it. Comey got her get out of jail free card. That's what he gave her. That helped her.
Those Aberdeen tapes from Weiner to his wife with Hillary's computer or whatever cost her the election in Wisconsin,
Huma
Pennsylvania.
cost her the election. Anthony Weiner cost her the election.
Because people like you were running
Not
around and
Comey.
saying for 4 years that she was a terrorist, that she was
What?
from Iran or Iraq. Huma Abedin. Do you know who she is? She's a terrorist.
Her
She
mother
comes
and
from-
father worked for the Muslim Brotherhood, yes.
Yeah, so wait a minute. If your
They
father
do.
was a priest and your mother was a nun and you were born, what would that make you?
She
A bad guy?
also was on the staff of the newspaper, the Muslim Brotherhood-owned newspaper. Huma Abedin herself was on
Yeah?
that staff. She was on the
Okay.
masthead.
Now, the other guy, you mentioned something before.
She should never have gotten a security clearance.
These people are investigating through the Fusion GPS originally, the group. You said that the guy that was doing the work was a former writer for the Wall Street Journal?
Glenn Simpson.
Now,
Fusion
you-
GPS,
Now you're going to try
CEO.
to
Yes.
You're going to try to convince me that the Wall Street Journal supported Hillary Clinton?
No.
Okay. Let's do question 2 because we've got other stuff on your list of.
Yeah, we do.
Boy, I think you're going to find it. This is going to go. You're going to eat so much crow
I don't
over
know
what
much
you're
time
throwing
here.
out.
Well, go ahead. Just.
We've got-
I thought you did.
I think
Go ahead.
we've
Read
got
it. Read it.
A week ago, that little guy who's our Attorney General, another dwarf, removed
Will you just use names, please?
the Cole.
You're talking about
the
Attorney
Cole-
General Jeff Sessions?
The Cole memo, a barrier.
So could you start over?
A week ago, AG Jeff Sessions, former senator, removed the Cole memo, a barrier that had held back federal prosecutors from pursuing marijuana cases in states that had made pot legal. Do you, as a strict constructionist constitutionalist, do you agree with Sessions' repeal or do you think this is a violation of states' rights that have legalized medicinal and recreational use of marijuana?
Could you spell Cole memo?
C-O-L-E,
Not familiar with it.
capital C-O-L-E.
Okay, I'll just take
It held
the
back
question
federal
of
prosecution.
federal government power
rights.
versus
Yeah.
states' power. I would line up on the side of the states, being a federalist and believing in
Right.
that our country set up as a republic, and that the power in the 9th and 10th Amendments say any authority not granted to the federal government belongs to the
Right.
states. So when it comes to drug laws, there are conflicting laws. It used to be states and the federal government all lined up that marijuana is illegal and prosecutable. Now states, some states,
36 of them, I
some
think,
blue
quite a few
states
of
have
them.
changed that law.
Not just blue states. Tennessee, Kentucky, I mean, there's a lot of them. Wow.
States have changed that law, and now and then the Cole memo must be the Obama administration's decision not to prosecute federal
Right. Maybe, I don't
anybody
know,
under
yeah.
federal marijuana laws.
Yeah.
Okay, so
What did he say?
I didn't know what it was called. He said correct.
Oh.
So, but I knew that it happened.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a conflict, and because I'm a conservative, small government guy, strict constitutionalist, I have to line up with the states. I don't agree with it.
No.
So was that the question?
Yeah,
Or was
and
there
how do you
something
feel
else
about
in
that?
there?
What do you think about Jeff Sessions?
I don't agree with marijuana should be legalized. I'm against that. I think the states have made a mistake, and it's not a good idea. All it's going to, if more people smoke marijuana, the more they're going to vote Democrat.
Wow. Like Republicans don't buy pot. Oh,
Some of them do.
please.
Yeah.
And Republicans don't have abortions. Oh,
They're going to be
please.
they're going to be Bernie bots. That's what'll happen to them.
Unbelievable. You guys, you say
All right,
this
you
stuff.
want to talk about it? What do you think about Sessions?
I think it really should be left to the states. I believe in states' rights. And you know, I've always said that, and I don't understand why we have Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican President, this bunch of crackpots.
See, when you haven't got the facts, you pound
No,
the table.
and they are out to break states' rights. But yet,
Who is?
the Republican leadership.
Oh.
Republican.
Since when is a lefty in favor of states' rights?
I always have been. Why
You
not?
have.
Of
Okay, well,
course.
most lefties are not.
Yeah, that's something. You know, that's out of your historic past where, you know what, lefties and right. I don't consider them lefties or righties. They're people with an interest in life, okay? And
Well,
I mean,
the show is left-right.
what? I understand that. We should change the name.
We should. I'm ready to change the
But
subject.
I think the state should have the right to do that.
How about this one?
Go ahead.
Schools in the United States and Europe are moving to ban best friends
Huh?
in schools. The kids will no longer be allowed to have best friends.
I don't know. I think-
That is what's being pushed. They call it exclusionary.
Huh?
Now, they believe, as a former teacher that's been, they tried to indoctrinate me in in-service training in they call total inclusionary model. Inclusionary that's a big, big buzzword in education. At least it was 8 years ago when I was still in it. And it still is, clearly. They say that when you have, it causes emotional distress in teens, because if a teen, I used to be her best friend, but now I'm not anymore, and I have to go
So
see
where
the
are
counselor,
we going
and
with
so
this?
forth.
Where are we
Where
going
going
with
with this? Is
Nobody
that
cares.
the left is permeating its baloney ideas into in mandating friendships among
How are you going to do
students.
that? How can you do that?
How does first of all, how does the federal government say, oh well, do you not like the gender that you were assigned at birth? In other words, you were born a girl. No, they don't put it that way. They say this is the gender that you were assigned on your birth certificate, meaning like government made you a girl. Isn't it God made you a girl and nature made you a girl because you were born, with female parts? No. The birth certificate that was written this way. Schools, they have set up a whole set of rules having to deal with so-called multiple
This is
genders
somebody's
and
idea of
non-binary
something they
genders.
want to do, but is this
Now they want to get into best friends. They want to say you can't even have a best friend because you might hurt somebody's feelings because this one you like this girl better than you like that girl.
You really let this
I'm
stuff
telling you,
worry
this is what's going on.
You really let this stuff worry you. Where does this stuff come from? Who even thinks
It comes
this crap
from the
up?
minds of lefties. That's
It
where it
does
comes
not.
from.
It comes from insane people.
Well,
Come on.
well, that's synonymous, are they not?
No, but I think we got a president who's insane. Maybe he thought this up. I don't know who thought something up that crazy.
Yeah. Oh, well, you agree it's crazy.
You can't have
Good.
a best friend?
All right.
Can you have a best
That's
car? Can
No,
you have
you-
a best pair of shoes?
They
What am I
have-
going to do next?
This is the latest movement in
You know what kind of
education.
movement it is? Huh? It's called a bowel movement.
Okay.
Real movement. But you come up with something.
I got
good.
another one. You
This
want to
sounds
hear
like it
this?
come out of Fox
Speaking
News.
of John Podesta, he
No
belongs
one's
to
speaking
something
about
called-
John, but he's gone. Forget
Well,
him.
You brought him up earlier when you
I did?
asked about the emails that were.
They stole
he
his.
got a bunch of emails from John
They
Podesta.
stole
He
his
was
emails.
Hillary's campaign chairman.
They stole
He's
his
also
emails.
the founder of a group called the Center for American Progress, and they
Yeah, I
spend
know about
about
them, yeah.
$45 million a year
Yeah,
budget.
it's good. It's a good
right?
group.
Well, you think so.
Interesting group.
Here's a statement they just came out with. It was the day before yesterday. Quote, "The fight to protect dreamers is not only a moral imperative, it is also a critical component of the Democratic Party's electoral success. Donald Trump and the Republican Party continue to jeopardize the futures of millions of dreamers and their families and throw roadblocks up to meaningful legislative reform. And it is up to the Democrats to stand up for them." So the key phrase here is that the dreamers are a critical component of the Democratic Party's future electoral success.
Hey.
Meaning, we want illegal immigrants to be legalized so that they can vote Democrat.
I see.
We're
So
looking
it
for
couldn't
more
be-
Democrat
it-
voters. There it is from
It
Jennifer
couldn't be
Palmieri.
possibly be out of the goodness of their hearts caring about human beings.
Well, they said that, but they also said,
Okay.
and also a critical component of the Democrat Party's future electoral
Because-
success. That's called tipping your
Tipping-
hand, saying,
Oh, no,
here
no.
is why we favor illegal
Well, see,
immigrants.
why
Because
does
they're
the,
Democrats.
why does the Catholic Church favor working in Africa and South America? Have you figured that out yet?
What? What,
They
you
spend
changing
a
the
lot.
subject?
No, I'm not. It's an organization. It's an Why do they work in Latin America so strongly and Africa and places like that, and stay the hell out of
Gino,
Chevy Chase Mevelin?
are you not going to address this?
No, I will address that. I'm just addressing it in my own fashion.
Well, why
What
don't
you're
you
saying
you
is
asked
because the
question, I don't know where you're
Democrats,
going with it.
because
Why don't you just make a statement?
okay, the Democratic Party may be in favor of the poor and the underprivileged, as we kind of are, okay? Because the Republican Party sure as hell isn't, because they're trying to deport all these people, even if they've been here for 25 years and have grown up here, they want to get rid of them, throw them out in the trash. That's what they want to do. The Democrats basically are in favor of allowing them space to live. So that, you take it on the other way and say, well, that means they're going to vote for them. How do you know they're ever going to vote? I mean, this is like you put out these things, these straw men,
Well, I
and
can
then
give
knock
you
them
one.
over.
I can make one point about to answer your question. The Republican Party, they're negotiating right now in order to, come up with a continuing resolution or some kind of budget deal
Yeah.
so the government doesn't shut down. Okay, so on the table is this issue, and this is
Trying
in
to
that
use it as
context
a-
that
yeah.
Jennifer Palmieri, made the statement that I just quoted.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what the Republicans have offered is, we'll make the Dreamers legal
Yeah.
if we have a provision that they can't vote for 25 years. Democrats said, nope.
Of course. How unfair is
We
that?
got 1 minute left.
But how unfair is that?
Got 1 minute left. I
This
just
is
got the signal.
this is a Democratic plan. Oh, you can stay here. You can clean our toilets. You can work in our hotels. You can work for less than you should be paid. And you know what? You're never going to be able to vote. But you'll pay Social Security in the meantime. You'll pay for your own health care in the meantime. But you know what? You're not voting for
Well, then,
25 years. What a
It would be
ridiculous argument.
if it's a moral imperative, then that should
Tom.
be it, right?
You can't vote for 25
Okay,
years.
we're almost out of time here. We got
This-
about 20, 30
This
seconds
is a
left.
Republican idea. Let's
And
end
so-
January 10th with a disagreement.
So
We agree
we're
on
going to
nothing.
be January 24th will be our next time
be back here at
I
10
didn't get
o'clock.
to any of those things, very few of those things that I
You had many
prepared.
more things. I'm answering your things,
You
your
are, yeah.
aberrations of philosophy, whatever the heck it is. But anyway, we will be back in 2 weeks, and mark
Yep.
my words, I will have some better answers than he has questions. That's it.